this video today. Long promised, another talkie video. I haven't done one in a long while. So today I just want to talk about, with last year 2020, even now 2021, COVID, all that stuff, I would say mostly everyone now is able to get back to work, but maybe there's some that aren't. But regardless of the fact, I was doing these things long before COVID because I am first and foremost a stay-at-home mom. So I'm kind of like holding on the fort, doing my gigs on the weekend, doing work from home type stuff. And these are things that I do to make some money as a supplement to other stuff that I do. So if you haven't already, I do have another video. I have two separate videos which it's actual work that you can do outside the home. Like I have one on how to get into being a brand ambassador, which is pretty old, but the information is still pretty much the same thing, as well as I have a separate video about being a mystery shopper, which it is a little outdated, but it's still pretty much the same thing. I would say the only thing now that's changed is just the way you report stuff. It's more, do stuff with your smartphone. They have apps. Some of the video mystery shopping, you have to use an app versus, as I explained in that video back in the day, they had to ship me a hidden camera and I had to wear it. That's built into this shirt. Long story, you can watch that video and see for yourself. But if you do want an updated one, I can certainly do one. I'm just saying it's kind of just really the same information. But this is something that I have not touched on yet, and I do want to just share the information with everybody if you don't know what this is. Now, a lot of this, I do have to say, a lot of it you do have to be somewhat tech savvy. You have to know how to use Zoom, Google Duo, Skype, have a smartphone, know how to text, all that stuff. So that's the only downfall to this, is that you do have to be somewhat tech savvy. But here are some things, and I wrote a list here that I want to go over. So the first thing, I'll get into this. Pre-COVID, I would do these things called mock jury trials. Now, if you go to, sometimes you can see the ads on Facebook. If you kind of just like tell your phone, that thing where you tell you're talking about something and your phone starts picking up what you're saying and it starts giving you relevant ads. You could do that as well. I mean, we know the phones are listening, like let's not kid ourselves. I'll probably see some mock jury ads on my Facebook after I film this video. So you can look on Facebook as well. I first started getting into it through Craigslist, and I still do. The only thing with Craigslist, I would err on word of caution on that. There's a lot of scams on Craigslist. So even once in a while, I'll get into a conversation with like a scammer. But I've been doing this for so long, I can weed it out at some point during the conversation before I start giving my info on all this, on that stuff. So you can check in Craigslist. I would highly suggest, if you do want to start on the Craigslist route, you could go Craigslist your city and then gigs, or Craigslist your city and then there's another part in the job section, because gigs is its own thing called etc. And you can also check, they in my experience, a lot of these types of little temporary gigs are in that etc. category or in gigs. So first and foremost, like I was saying, pre-COVID, I would find these through Craigslist. Usually the information that they provide to you, it'll tell you, the name of the marketing agency, or with these mock jury trials, usually it's the law firm themselves, and they give you a little bit of information. Now, the compensation is not going to be, if they start selling it like, make $500 to $600 from home doing mock jury trials or doing focus survey. Like, and I've said this before in my mystery shopping jobs, I have never met anyone that did this full time that paid those kinds of rates. Unless maybe you've paid for your gold certification, you've been doing this for years and you're in the know, maybe, perhaps, but you would know if you're at that level. So if you're starting out, definitely stay clear of anything that has a too good to be true type of rate. When I would do these on Craigslist, I would see they would say the date, They tell you the date, the times. Usually they have a Survey Monkey survey to qualify you within that Craigslist ad, because you can't just sign up and be like, well, here I am, I want to do the mock jury trial. Usually there's a demographic that they're looking for. And sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. You just have to do the survey. Now, if the survey asks you for anything more than a phone number and email, I would stay clear of it. They may ask you your age, but I wouldn't put in like birth dates or social security numbers or addresses. That stuff comes after. If you've qualified, then they will ask you. But even then, like if you're not making more than $600 a year, they won't ask you for your social security number. You know, you probably won't even get a 1099 at the end of the year if you've made less than that with them. And usually mock jury trials, they want you to not have done these within 6 months, some even a year, because I guess in my understanding, they want your opinion to be clear, you know, because sometimes you'll come off a mock jury trial and you'll have all that law lingo in your head and how things work, and maybe that's why they do it, so it doesn't influence how you participate in this mock jury. But usually that's a stipulation. They'll ask you, have you done a mock jury trial in the last 6 months? If you say yes, they'll be like, thank you for trying out, but you do not qualify at this time, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes you'll go all the way to the end and it seems like you might qualify, but they don't end up calling you. Maybe they got enough people before they got around to your survey. So don't be too bummed. Just, I would say, if you see it, act on it, fill out the survey and see if you qualify. Don't wait around on it, because they only can say, let's say they can only hire about 40 people for this. If you're the 43rd applicant and they get everybody else, well, then you're not going to get chosen. I'm not saying this, I'm like, get to the point. Pre-COVID, I would go, when I would get selected to the mock jury and I qualified and all that stuff, then they would say, okay, so on this date, we're going to meet up at, let's say, the Hilton. Yes, when you do these mock jury trials, you are treated so well for your opinion, okay? And it's not a couple hours type deal. Back then, for the ones that we went in person, it would be like all day, 6 to 7 hours. So we would be in a very nice hotel in the conference room. You know, they'll show you. You'll usually sign like an NDA, so you don't discuss the trial and all the evidence. I did one where it was I won't get too much into it, but it was covering a wrongful death lawsuit against a company, and they showed us actual pictures of the crime scene and the actual bodies. So it was, I mean, if that stuff triggers you, like you would have not liked the trial a mock jury trial that I did, because it did show actual photos from the crime scene, from the accident. Absolutely horrible, horrendous, all those terrible words you could think of. We saw those photos, and then we had to give our opinion at the end of the trial once the prosecutor and defendant gave both of their sides. And the reason they do these mock jury trials is because, from what they explained to us, if they can settle out of court paying the money for these mock jury trials, it's going to save, I guess, whoever ends up losing the lawsuit a ton of money than if they had went and spent more money going to court, and then they would have lost anyways. So this is like when they kind of do the settling out of court, they hire these mock jury trials, a small pool of people to determine if they should go to trial or if they really should just settle. And if the number that we give, that let's say the person who died, the company who is responsible, they should be responsible for giving them $1 million, and then we give our reasons why we came up with this number, right? So that's why they do this. We're also given, you know, when I've done the all-day ones, we were given breakfast and lunch, and we're talking about you're in the Hilton, you're not Hampton Inn, you're in the Hilton, the Marriott, very nice hotels where the breakfast and lunches were very, very generous, very nice. I enjoyed myself. And then usually at the end, sometimes they do pay you in check, but the last one that I did in person before COVID hit, we got paid, I want to say $250 for the day, straight cash, dude, cash. We all got paid because I think it was a very high profile case. That's not usually the norm, but I've gotten paid like 150, 175. I would say that one was the highest that I've ever done. So when COVID hit, now they switched over to doing it through Zoom. And those were a lot shorter. I did one where we were paid like 60 bucks, but we were really only in it for like 2 hours. It was a very short one. I don't even remember like what it was about. It was so short. I only remember the one that we were there for like 7 hours because we were there for 7 hours and it's like being beat into your brain, all these facts, right? Like I said, if you see anything that's not more than 4 hours and they're promising you ridiculous money, like 2 hours, 60 bucks, that sounds about right. 100 bucks, 3 hours, maybe depending on the severity of the case. And you can look these companies up and all that, mock jury trials. Usually, again, they're not really held by marketing companies, they're held by actual law firms. Another thing that I did pre-COVID and during the pandemic is focus groups. Again, focus groups, when I did them in person, same thing. You'll take a qualifying survey because usually they are looking for certain types of people that they want your opinion on, I don't know, how you raise your kids or how you spend your money when you buy cleaning supplies, or what's another one I've done? Your opinions on a local hospital that's going through a rebranding, stuff like that. The money is not ridiculous, crazy. 60 bucks, 90 bucks, 100 bucks. I did one, actually no, it wasn't a focus group. I'll get to that in a second. So you're looking at around 100 bucks or less for maybe an hour, 2 hours of your time, maybe. But again, like as I said in my mystery shopping video, you will get a higher rate when you're given more responsibility and more tasks in relation to your opinion on the topic that they want you to give your opinion about. So some of the focus groups, again, you can find these through Craigslist. I will stress again, and I'll keep repeating it so that way nobody falls victim to scams. If they are saying focus groups, 150 bucks in 30 minutes or $300, like ridiculous, I would say 120 is probably the max. Do the survey if you qualify. Again, don't give your actual birth date, social security number, address, none of that. If they're just asking general questions, how you shop, how many people are in your household, those are safe, in my opinion, and I've been doing this for almost a decade. And I'm going to go back to what I was saying here. Surveys. Now, I did a survey during the pandemic when a month or two before the presidential elections, and this was leading up to election day. I had to watch a series of little snippets of videos in relation to, the campaign videos Donald Trump would put out or the ones that Biden would put out, and then I would make connections or just give my opinions on like a little survey after I watched these videos. And this was not a lot of work, but it was probably the longest survey that I've ever done, because I had to do, I believe, 13 videos, so it was like one a week, so this took weeks, right? But it was literally like maybe at the most 4 minutes of my day. So I would do it waiting for my kids to come from school, or I would do it before I went to bed, laying in bed, just bored or whatever. So it really wasn't the task wasn't really that daunting, you know what I mean? Like, it was okay. So I did this for 13 weeks, and at the end of 13 weeks, when they saw that I completed all my surveys on time, because again, you do have to be punctual with this stuff. You can't just do it like whenever you want. They do give you deadlines to hit for each of these surveys. So I got a check for 150 bucks. Another survey, and again, they do put these on Craigslist. They also put them on Facebook. So again, if you want to just kind of whisper to your phone that you want to do surveys and stuff, you'll probably see them start popping up. And another thing that I do when I work with new companies, especially if I start seeing the ads on Facebook, I will Google the name of the company, I will go to their Facebook page, and I will see, is there actual human interaction in the comments, or is it just bots? When was the company started? Is there a phone number I can call and a human actually answers? So that's what I do to kind of just test the waters to make sure that I'm not wasting my time trying to fill out qualifying surveys when it's just really a scammer. And I mean, to me, it's worked out okay. I haven't gotten. Usually, I work with two companies, and I'll talk about this in a moment. And I know that they are legitimate. The first one that I can suggest that is an actual legitimate company that I've worked on many times is they're called Galloway Research Inc. They're based out of San Antonio, Texas. I don't even remember how I signed up with them, but I've been in their profile for years. So every once in a while, I'll get an email that says, hey, we have a market survey for children's toys. See if you qualify. And I since I've worked with them many times before and I've gotten paid, I know they're legitimate. So I have no doubt, like immediately I just click on the link and I start filling out the survey to see if I qualify. Another one that I do survey groups and focus groups. I always forget what the name of the company is, and I tried looking this up right now, and I'm just like, I can't. All I know is that if you go on Facebook, there's a page, not like a group page, it's like a business page called El Paso Focus Groups. They're a local marketing agency that they do surveys, focus groups. I've done focus groups with them on tasting different types of food and beverages. I've also done, my son even, sometimes you guys, they'll even have surveys for children. You know, they just have to clear it through the parents, qualify your kids, same deal. The kid has to do either like over the phone qualification with them or through like a link, just how I was saying with like the Survey Monkey ones. And if your kid qualifies, like my son has made $20, $15 here and there giving his opinion about certain topics. I guess whatever the client wants their opinion on. He did one where they asked his opinion on teens that vape, and I guess it was like an anti-drug type thing. But he did that, and he ended up getting $20. So he's always like, "Mom, do you have any surveys for me?" And I was like, "I will let you know the moment I see one," and I always do. But the children ones are usually not as frequent as the adult surveys, obviously. But I do surveys and focus groups with them. So yeah, usually if you look online, like I said, just kind of, if you're unsure, just Google the name, make sure that if you can even get a Better Business Bureau status, if they've been in business for a long time, that'll make you feel more comfortable giving your information and talking to somebody if they do end up calling you to further qualify you on something or just to make sure if you're available. So those are ways that I've made money working from home. And again, because of the pandemic, a lot of these companies are like, we don't have to spend money sending you to a hotel. We can do this all through Zoom and save a lot of money, which is fine for me because I can be business on top and I can be, in my pajamas from the bottom. It's perfectly fine. And I actually like that. So, and the way you also get paid, they pay you anyway. I've gotten paid through Venmo, PayPal. Sometimes they'll ask you, what do you prefer? I prefer Venmo. Okay, well, give me your Venmo account so we'll pay you. By check. Have I gotten direct deposit yet? No, cash. And of course, they will tell you how they're going to pay you. Like, you'll never have a survey that's legitimate and they'll just be like, not say anything about paying you. Like, it's a legitimate business. They're going to tell you up front, this is how we're going to pay you. This is the only way. We can't pay anywhere else. We only pay by check. So please fill out this form with your address, whatever. But of course, that conversation doesn't happen until after you qualified in and they have selected you for the survey. So that's all I have to say about that. If you have any questions on any further questions that I didn't cover here, that on the mock jury trials, focus groups, surveys, please leave a question down below. But I don't mind sharing this information that I have with you guys because we all need to hustle. Don't leave money on the table. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are ways that we can make money from home and it'll help you out. I guarantee it. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.